Go.
Good evening to another series of What Would You Do? Today we'll be taking a topic from chapter 1, specifically number 3, and this is brought to you by Group 1 with Mr. Shane Gill, Mr. Joshua Biggs, and myself, Ivory Taylor. So, chapter 1, topic 3. The synopsis is, as a part of your company's annual performance review process, each employee must identify 3 coworkers to be interviewed by his manager to get a perspective on an employee's overall work performance. Your friend has offered to give you a glowing performance review if you agree to do the same for him. Truth be told, your friend is not a very dependable worker, and his work is often below minimum standards. However, he is a good friend, and you would hate to upset him. What would you do? Next one. So the problem is this. My good friend, who I've known for X amount of years, wants me to give him a raving review about his performance over the past year during our annual review with our manager. That's fine and dandy, but obviously we point out a problem here already about him knowing that his work may not be up to par. And as stated, in reality, he is not dependable and does subpar work. This is not indicative of the review he would like for me to give, which puts me in jeopardy of trusting and believing that he would do the same for me, as he stated, and possibly him getting a raise over me. Next slide. So here are a list of alternatives. The first one is, we tell the friend no. His need to ask for a positive review is a tall tale sign that he knows what he is doing, and he knows it's not good. He needs to change his behavior because this creates mistrust. Plus, you already picked your 3 coworkers. He comes to me and asks me to do something for him, and he'll do it for me, but I've already laid down my 3 friends that I've asked it. And it was no bribery of scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. Number 2, ask the manager to restructure his review style so that it doesn't create turmoil amongst the employees. The manager blindly picking coworkers within the same section would yield better results. And this is good because it doesn't lead to a situation like this, where you put your trust in somebody who's a good friend, but can you really rely on him in a situation like this that could impact you and your employment and your family life after employment? 3, tell the friend yes. And during the interview, talk about why he's a good friend and be honest about his work ethics. This may lead to a section change for him or an invitation to do more training. Either way, his work habits should improve to where he's better suited. Now, even though we said yes, we're not lying to either one of them, because during the review, he's a great guy. We think he's a great guy. And we can give the manager a raving review about him being a great guy, but also telling him the truth about his work habits. And that way, we've told the truth to both of them, because you gave the raving review, but you also let the manager know what was really happening. Number 4 is talk to your friend and be honest about your feelings towards his work ethics and him as a person. Basically, it's the same as number 3, except you're telling it directly to him. And then this should lead to his ultimate decision to improve or find another friend, because I have bills to pay. My work should not rely on another person's story of how they feel about me. I have a family at home to support, and I have a family at home that relies on me. This not only affects my family, but also the organization. Next slide. So the best alternative, we feel, would be to request a meeting with the manager well ahead of time. Discuss how his review process is not a good perception of what he is looking for, if this is known already. Give your manager reasons and facts of why, and offer the solution of blindly picking individuals that work together and across groups or sections. This would offer a better overview of an individual, not only focusing on work ethics and habits, but teamwork and cohesiveness. And as stated before, sometimes managers ask you to choose friends just to see how they feel about you and to get a perception of you as a person and some of your habits and what you like to do. They already know the work side, but sometimes they want to know the you side. So this may be the situation, but if it's not the situation and he's really looking for your friends to tell him about how good of a person you are, that's not really giving a great view of how the section is being ran and the business being conducted within that section, because it's just everybody telling great stories to help their friends out, in which they know is going to help them out in turn. Next slide. So how do you implement this decision? How do you implement this alternative? Well, after the meeting and some careful considerations, the manager should see how this new plan of action follows company guidelines, falls in line with the code of ethics and morals, discuss with his manager the plan of action and the effect it may have on a unit, and then proceed to carry out the new way of working or the new way of conducting reviews. An email will be sent out to the employees giving guidelines on what it is to be expected and why there is change in place. He should also state what has changed and how the new way of working improves the overall dynamics of the work environment. He should also discuss how this benefits the workers, indicating the stress it places them under for having to choose the best individual or be placed in a situation to where they will feel bribed. So this attacks, I don't want to say attacks, but this hits all points of changes. Because when you want to submit a change, you want to put out as much information as possible so that you're not bombarded with the same questions over and over. You put out the basics with as much information, and that way everybody knows how to go forth from there. You put out what's going to be changed, why it's changing, how you're going to change it, and how it will affect the way of working going forward. With those 4 basic statements, there shouldn't be too many questions unless it's intricate questions by individuals who have very specific questions. But as far as this review process, I think this is a good way to implement this alternative. Next slide. So evaluating the results. Up to now, everything has been factual. Now we are looking into the future because change is not immediate. Change takes time. This will happen within the next couple of months. This will happen within the next year or the next couple of years further down the line. Because when something changes in one section, on one part of the work environment, there's a lot of things that happens around the outside. So some changes that'll happen and help improve the work habits, the environment, and the unity. And directly impacts the organization's turnover rate, machine to shelf time, and profits. You put people doing what they do best in the best circumstances, and you will see many great things come from that. Businesses improve, opportunities improve, and that way people don't have to beg for happy reviews, knowing that they're not that good. Next slide. Well, I thank you for joining us on this episode of What Would You Do? I hope that you've learned a lot, as I have, and we have learned a lot. Thank you, and have a good night.